Hey, we'd like to welcome all of our automotive enthusiast friends, no matter where you are, anywhere on planet Earth. It's the same price for everybody. Doesn't matter where you are. You've done it again. You've joined yet another...
Kevin, another loquacious episode of V8 Radio.
Loquacious.
That's right, man.
Something to do with liquid?
Nope, tending to talk a great deal.
Oh, right on. Well, that fits for once. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, how about it?
Actually, as I think about it, most of your overselling adjectives fit the show pretty well, so good job there.
Well, I do what I can.
Yeah. This is the V8 Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Oeste, joined as always by our esteemed, hugely vocabulatoriized co-host, Mr. Mike Q-Ball Clarke.
If I contribute nothing else, at least listeners will have a better vocabulary because of this show.
They will be loquaciousized. What was it?
Loquacious. Loquaciousized.
Loquacious. Fantastic. I got to work that into a sentence somehow this week, and I'm writing it down on how, because I don't know yet.
Good. I want to hear how that goes.
All right.
We'll follow up at the next episode.
For sure. Well, we have a lot to cover, but as always on the V8 Radio Podcast, before we trip and fall into the big mess that we normally get into, we like to start these with a sporting event that we call the Automotive Trivia question, where we throw them out in the beginning of the show and then answer them at the end. Have you, in fact, prepared a trivia question?
Absolutely, sir. Okay, here we go. All right, Kevin, I'm going to appeal to your DJ, your time as a DJ way back when.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great.
You mean like about an hour ago?
Yeah. When you were actually on the air.
Well, when I was spinning tunes here in the garage.
That too. All right, so Kevin and listeners, what performance parts were on the 409 that the Beach Boys sang about?
Oh, she's refined my 409. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So that's one of those songs that it's a good song, don't get me wrong. And the Beach Boys are a great band. Brian Wilson's a genius. Mike Love and, the whole deal. But it's one that I have kind of put out of my mind. Because
I wonder why.
As an oldies DJ and as a car show aficionado, I've heard it far too many times.
True.
She's
and I'm bringing it back.
No. So it's three deuces and a 4-speed. I think for sure. Boy, what a great question, man!
I thought I would scratch the deep parts of your brain with that one.
Well, my mind is going right to "Shutdown" by Janet Dean, and I can't get it out of my head. So we'll just leave it at that for now.
So 3 deuces and a 4-speed.
Yeah. And a
final answer?
A 3. You know what? We're going in a little GTO now, too.
Oh, man.
3 deuces and a 4-speed and a 389. Oh, man. I've just compositized all of those 60s surf rock car songs. I'm going to leave it alone before I get in more trouble.
All right, so final answer, 3 deuces, 4-speed.
Yeah, it's not, an LS3 and a T56, I'm pretty sure.
No, that is for sure. It is not.
All right, so that's final answer.
All right, we'll duly noted. Right on.
All right, I got one for you.
Let's have it.
Your name's Mike, right?
Well, that's what my mom said when I was born.
What was the Mighty Mike?
The Mighty Mike.
Yep.
What was a vehicle. The Mighty Mike? Okay, holy cats.
It was a vehicle package called the Mighty Mike.
Oh, brother. You're killing me, Smalls.
I figured, being named Mike, that at some point you have seen this and you Know all about it.
I don't think they covered that question in Mike class when I was growing up, but I'll do my darndest here. Oh Lord. Okay, what was the Mighty Mike? It was a car. It was a vehicle package, like an option package.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Okay, so the factory.
So we'll break this out. Okay. What was the vehicle it appeared on, and then what did it consist of for the bonus?
All right, what vehicle did it appear on? And what was it for the bonus? Okay,
I think you need to clarify to our listener that you are not Googling this right now. You're just recording.
No, I am not. I am typing it out so I can for reference later.
Because we can hear that clickety clack going on.
Yeah, no. I would never disgrace the show with that kind of nonsense.
we do have standards to maintain here, friends.
That's right. If we don't have our integrity, we have nothing.
We have nothing.
Okay, so the Mighty Mike appeared on. For some reason, this just smacks of Chrysler Corp.
Ooh.
To me. I'm going to say the Mighty Mike was on... Oh, man.
Smacking of Chrysler Corp.
It is, for whatever reason. Cause I'm thinking of like their high-impact colors that they have with those way-out names and that kind of stuff.
In violet and
top banana yellow or lemon twist,
yellow,
panther pink,
yeah.
Mighty Mike. I mean, it all fits, right?
What color is Mike? Well, I got a Mighty Mike Challenger.
Yeah.
What color is it? I don't know,
brother. It's polka dotted.
It's mostly white at this point, but it's could be.
Has a vinyl top,
right?
Okay. So the Mighty Mike appeared on. I'm going to say it was on Dodge Vans, half-ton Dodge Vans.
Ooh, specific too.
Yeah, and half-ton. I'm going to say it consisted of. Side pipes, exposed side pipe. It was like a factory custom. We're gonna say had factory side pipes and shag carpet.
And shag carpet.
Final answer. Write it down. Lock it in. Sweet Lord.
So, I'm trying to figure out who it was named after, but
yeah, I don't know.
Some fancy dude with a van.
Yeah, that's right. I guess.
All right. Well, if that's your final, that's what we got.
Yeah.
Duly noted, man.
Appreciate it.
We'll find out at the end of the show about the Mighty Mike half-ton Dodge van package.
Please stick around because I really want to know this too.
Right on. All right. Well, we got that out of the way.
Dig it. So, it's been another hot minute since we put one of these out.
It has, but I think the last one had some staying power.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was nice. It was a good episode. We had the incomparable Kelly Oeste on the show. We were talking about the meteoric rise of the V8 Speed and Resto shop and
the origin of the species, if you will.
Yes. And that was a great show. I really enjoyed listening to that one again.
It was interesting, and it dislodged a lot of memories and thoughts about stuff that quite frankly I don't think Kelly or I had thought about in quite a while. And it was fun to get some reactions from other people who were like, "You did what?"
Yeah, right. Well, it was cool because I had heard a lot of these stories, over the years, but not in one, continuous format.
Loquacious format, if you will.
No, one loquacious format, exactly. See, you just used it in a sentence.
I did. I'm off the hook now for the rest of the week. Yeah, no, it was cool. And like we had mentioned, there was some things left out, and there's much more to come. I mean, we are entering this 20th anniversary or 20th year in business, I guess, of our little business. And I got to tell you, so you've heard me mention one of our team members that we nicknamed Sarge. Well,
Yeah.
the U.S. Air Force nicknamed him Sarge. A little more than a nickname.
Yep.
But we had our monthly team staff meeting last week. And at these meetings, it's a lunchtime thing, and everybody in the whole company is there, and we have an agenda of things to talk about, and we always try to lead with things that we've improved upon in the last month. And this one was really good. We had like 21 line items of things that improved, which was great.
Oh, killer.
And yeah, and of course we always have things that we're working on that need improvement, and by the time we got to the end, Sarge had mentioned that him and Kelly's administrative assistant Amber had put together kind of a presentation that they wanted to share. And we said, okay, floor is yours, man. What do you got?
Yeah.
And Sarge and Amber went through, Sarge mostly was in charge of content. Amber kind of did the mechanics, but they identified about 6 different photographs that speak to the history of this business and speak to different aspects of this shop and this business. And then Amber had them all blown up into posters. So
wow.
he put poster after poster up on this easel and proceeded to chat about them to the whole team. And it provided a frame of reference and a perspective that is often overlooked, because like any other American business anyway, we're always focused on what's next and trying to get everything done. And, there's lots of irons in the fire, and we're not very reflective from a business standpoint.
Right.
Probably should be more. And the last podcast certainly did that. But Sarge did it from a crew and a team standpoint, which was really neat to experience because their perspectives are a lot different. Everybody's perspective is different from everybody else.
Sure.
But one of the photos that he presented, and this is 24 by 36 poster, and it's a photograph of a garbage dumpster.
Really?
and we all have a kind of a chuckle. We're like, what the heck is this all about? And he reminded us that when the V8 Speed and Resto shop was in one building, it's our current location, but we're kind of where we started at this particular location. The garbage dumpster was right out in front of the shop doors, and the pickup was every Friday afternoon.
Okay.
So as the the garbage truck would come and dump out the dumpster, that became kind of a celebrated ceremony, a little ritual, if you will, because they recognized that when you saw that truck come, it was the end of the week, and the weekend was coming. And all the junk that you've been working on that got cast off into the dumpster is being cleared away.
Nice.
To start fresh next week with new challenges and new things to do, right?
Yeah.
And they called it, Trevor and Sarge actually named it Happy Dumpster Day.
Nice.
and on Fridays they would greet everybody as such, hey, Happy Dumpster Day.
Happy Dumpster Day. I love it.
Oh yeah, and it was. I remember, kind of being aware of this, but not really a participant because I wasn't, geographically as close to those guys celebrating this. But in this meeting, I learned that Amber, in an attempt to cut costs and get better service, at one point she changed the dumpster supply company to a different one that she had some friends at, And they started to pick up the dumpster on like Tuesday afternoon.
Well, the nerve. How dare they?
Well, Sarge was devastated.
Yeah.
He's like, we already have this thing going here.
Yeah.
And you ruined it just to save a few cents, a week. So Amber was able to reschedule the new supplier to come pick up on Fridays as well.
Get out of here. That's awesome.
I think they made a special trip. They would drive by empty just to our shop, pick up, and haul it off just because we asked, and it kept that tradition alive. So it was really cool to, on many different levels, because here we have a team of people that are working together that, they're starting their own traditions, and they've got their own rituals and their own ways to celebrate and recognize milestones that I had nothing to do with, and Kelly had nothing to do with. And he so now we have this photograph of the dumpster.
That's fantastic. I love it.
It was, yeah.
Happy Dumpster Day. That's great.
It was very cool. But the other remaining 5 images that he brought up, mostly the first one he led with was a blow up of a cover of Hot Rod magazine from 1983, and it's got Linda Vaughn and an 83 Oldsmobile Pro Stock car.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's a blown up photograph of a signed cover from Linda Vaughn. And
wow.
Yes. And I'm looking at this going, oh yeah, I because I'm in the audience at this point. I know that. I remember that issue. And then I'm looking at the signature, and so Sarge's name is Jason, and it says, to Jason, best of luck, Linda Vaughn. And then it started to dawn on me, and Sarge is telling the story. He's like, his dad, like many people we know, collected and subscribed to car magazines for decades and decades and decades. And at one point, he was like being overrun by these things. So he offered them up to his sons, Jason, Sarge, and his brother, and said, if you guys want these things. So Sarge didn't have all the room for them. So they kind of picked through and took the best ones. And one of them that they kept, of course, was the lovely Linda Vaughn, Miss Hearst Golden Shifter, First Lady of Racing cover. And he had it framed, the whole magazine framed and hanging on his wall in his garage. Well, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, he and I were talking about that, and I knew that Linda Vaughn was on my list of people to interview at SEMA that year. So I said, hey, well, bring the magazine in and I'll see if I can get her to sign it for you. And he's like, oh, okay. So he brings it in, and I don't know, a couple of months later, we go to Vegas and do the SEMA thing and do the interview with Linda, and we're all standing around. And I said, oh yeah, right. Wait a minute. Hold on. I if you don't mind, I got a thing. And she's like, oh yeah. And I bring the magazine out. She signs it. And I got pictures of her signing and everything. Hey, thanks. And I bring it home and give it back to Sarge. And he's like floored.
Yeah. Heck yeah, I would be too.
Well, I would be too in that same situation. I am fortunate to have a slightly different perspective on a lot of this stuff, because I'm fortunate enough to be kind of on the other side of the fence for a lot of these situations, to be able to know these people and interview them and work with them.
You're the mayor of SEMA. Of course you are.
Yeah. Certainly wouldn't go that far. But I was really kind of looking at it as part of the job, part of my task list for the week, But Sarge was looking at this purely as an enthusiast who's had this magazine on the wall that he got from his dad that all of a sudden gets actually signed by Linda Vaughn. And that's a totally different deal,
No, it blows your mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if I took a magazine, so I've got my copy of the Cadzilla cover Hot Rod right here from 89. If I gave that to you and you went out and got it signed by Gibbons and then you gave it back to me, I'd lose my mind. If I was just in that same situation, right?
Yeah.
So he blew that cover up and he let off his presentation with that one and told that story. And there are people in our business that they weren't part of the team 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they're like, holy smokes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and Sarge really reinforced how when you're a car enthusiast, it's little things are big things, and it's really neat. That's why one of the reasons why we all do this is to get a half a step closer to something really freaking cool. Mm-hmm. And we're fortunate that we can sometimes make that happen. We can sometimes get closer to things like that in our little business. And he pointed out that apparently I was fairly nonchalant. I'm like, well, just give me the magazine. I'll get a sign by her. And he's like, what? Really?
Really?
And I'm not trying to belittle this at all, but for me, it was put it into my task list for all things I needed to get done. Mm-hmm. So that was an interesting perspective that kind of, I think, makes our business maybe a little bit unique in the sense that, we have some access, but we also have people that appreciate what that is,
Yeah.
And then some of the other images that he brought out pointed out the fact that between Kelly and her brother and her dad and her mom and her nephew and her niece, there's an entire family that has worked in and for our business. And then Amber and her mom are both currently on the payroll, and her dad is looking to be shortly. There's another family. And then my assistant, Lisa, her dad helps out after hours to keep the place in order. So there's another family that is, working under the same roof. And then Kelly and I are another family. And we've had other people that have had, family connections. So it's like, holy nuts, to use a Sarge term.
Nice.
That's
holy nuts.
That's something, because you can go anywhere and get a job, but if it's important enough to where you qualify the job enough to want to bring in a family member to work there as well,
yes,
that's saying something. And it's, again, because I'm always full throttle and looking forward, I don't often recognize how truly significant and kind of special that is. So he slayed us all with that presentation. I mean, it was serious.
That's really cool, man. I mean, what other company has people that do that, on their own volition?
Oh, I know.
That is rare, super rare.
100%.
Yeah.
And of course he kind of capped it off. He had some photos of Kelly and her family all enjoying the drive-in cruise event. And of course Kelly's mom was there, and she's no longer with us, but she was a huge cheerleader for the shop and helped us out, every step of the way. But one of the other images was a blown up photograph of my dad and I. And my dad's driving our first 79 Dodge Maxi van.
Nice.
In the high school homecoming parade with amplifiers and audio systems all over it. And Sarge goes, what is this all about?
I can almost hear the Blues Brothers Rhythm and Blues Review.
Oh my God. It was so close to that. And he's like, do you want to tell everybody what this is all about? So that particular photograph was from 89, I guess. And the short version of the story is that my high school had an 8.9 watt FM radio station, WMTH.
8.9 watt?
90.5 FM. Yeah.
Wow.
And 8.9 watts sounds like nothing. However, where we were located, bordering the city of Chicago, 8.9 watts, it reached like 100,000 people easily.
Wow.
Just because, if you drew a circle 10 miles around our high school, you get at least 100,000 people.
Yeah,
just
all day. Yeah, that part of town for sure.
Not to say that this was some powerhouse of an 8.9 watt blowtorch of a kick-ass station, but it was my introduction to radio, and I had a couple different shows, and it was, a great way to get out of class. I could go and I'll never forget it, middays. The format was dictated by the school, right? So you couldn't just do whatever you wanted.
Right.
And from like 11 to 12 was the no pop, no rock hour, so.
Oh, man.
I eventually learned, but I eventually learned that blues and country fit in that. So I was able to, even though I knew nothing of country music. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it came time for the homecoming parade, and all of us at this little radio station, we petitioned the school to say, hey, we'd like to have a float in the homecoming parade. And they said, for what? And we said, for WMTH radio, and they said, no. What do you mean no? No.
Immediately no.
No, this is for the, for the football team and for the cheerleaders and for the marching band. It's not for you clowns and your radio station. And I took a little bit of offense to that because we covered like all the high school basketball games. We covered all the high school football games. We covered the volleyball games. We were, I thought, definitely part of the scene. But they were like, well, no. And at the same time, I'm pretty sure we didn't go about it properly. I'm pretty sure there was forms to fill out and everything. And we probably didn't do that right,
Gee, you think?
Yeah, how about that? So it came down to the last minute, and what we ended up doing was essentially crashing the homecoming parade. We took my van, my dad's van, and drove it into the high school field house the night before the homecoming parade, where everybody's building their floats,
Yeah.
And we did the old trick where they're like, what are you doing in here with this? Oh, well, Mr. Whoever said it was okay. Oh. Well, okay, and Mr. Whoever never said anything, we never talked to him. So we built this wooden platform on top of the van, and we took all the audio gear out of the radio station. So all the monitors, the audio monitors that were hanging from the ceiling, and all the amplifiers, everything we could get our hands on, and strapped it to the roof of the van. And then we rented a generator and put it up there. And then we had a reel-to-reel player that we made a 5-hour-long mixtape.
Nice.
Had that on board.
Right on.
And we had banners. And these were it's funny, looking at this picture, these banners were cloth banners. They long before you could get a vinyl banner printed that said WMTH 90.5. So we put all these banners all over the van. And when it came time for the homecoming parade, we had this plan that we were going to play music, and one of the high school dance troops was going to be behind the van. We were going to actually just kind of get in front of them and then play their soundtrack that they would dance to, right? So we kind of, we tried to be team players. Right. Well, the fly in that ointment was that you needed a parent to drive the van. Ooh. None of the students could drive any of the floats in the parade for liability reasons.
Sure.
So I had to wake up my dad because, he's like, I said, I need your help.
Things are getting good.
Yeah. I said, I need your help. And he's like, what do you need? I said, I need you to drive the van in the homecoming parade. He's like, oh, really? When is that? I'm like, it's in about
20 minutes.
About an hour. He's like,
yes.
He looks out in front. He's like, where the hell's my van? I'm like, well, it's in the high school field house. It's all loaded up with this crap all over it. So he was a police officer, and he was still a cop at that time. But for years, he had led the Memorial Day parade. He drove the lead vehicle, and he was no stranger to driving in parades. So he's like, all right, So he's driving this thing, and I'm riding shotgun, and then the rest of the idiots in our radio station and I are playing music, and this guy's jumping in and out of the thing and running all around, and and somebody got a couple of pictures, and one of them is this picture that Sarge blew up, and it's so funny because it's this front 3/4 shot of the van, and it's got all this junk on it that I was telling you about, and the look on my old man's face is like, no freaking way am I doing this. He was just not happy. What did you idiots do to my van?
Knuckleheads. That's beautiful. I love it.
Oh, it was so funny. So, and he gave me crap about renting that generator because I think I put it on one of his credit cards.
Oh,
and
no.
you know, for the rest of his life, he reminded me about that.
You still owe me for that generator.
$135.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, anyway, Sarge blew that picture up. So now we got a big poster of that too. And it was kind of funny to share that story because nobody ever heard that before either. You know, it's just one of them things.
That's awesome.
It was funny.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, that was it was a good meeting and a good retrospect to look back of. So we just did that podcast about how we got here, and now it's the team's eye view, you know, because everybody had shared stories about their own side of it that was not Kelly and mine, you know. That was cool.
That is cool, man. Yeah, I love that. That's those are great stories, and it really shows how not only happy that your crew is, but how engaged they are with the shop and the stories and how much they care. So that's a really, really rare thing.
It is. I mean, and I've worked places where I didn't care how the hell we got there. You know, I wanted my paycheck and I wanted to go home Friday at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, here we have a team of people that are hungry to understand as much as they can so that they know contextually where they fit, where we fit, where we're going, you know, how it is we got here. And it completely blew me away. So, the only thing that he didn't do that he should have is hand out a box of tissues to everybody. Cause
nice.
He got me anyway, for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, it's cool when, you know, people from different departments come together and do something like that. It really shows the cohesiveness and that they are, in fact, one team, and they all work together to achieve a goal. And that's the magic right there.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's not, you know, like any place, it's not the world's most well-oiled machine, and we've got our challenges and everything else. But if everybody's, you know, got their head in the right place, it'll all happen. Mm-hmm. And things have been going pretty well. So I was very appreciative of that. And it's been an interesting time for me the past few weeks because not only did this happen, but Kelly went out of town to do some leadership training and left me to my own devices for a weekend. And her experience was really, really amazing. She really got to kind of turn inward and address some things inside that you know might have been holding her back, and that's what that program was all about. But there was a zero communication policy, so there was no phones or nothing. So I dropped her off at the airport and just kind of hoped she would come back. I mean, that's
oh boy,
it was really.
I wonder if this was just a clever ruse on her part.
Well, I mean, I really had no idea, you know, but we knew somebody else had been through this that you know I could reach out to. But so while she was gone, when in our relationship, if we ever have a few minutes to, you know, sit on the couch and watch TV, I don't mandate what we watch. You know, I'm not that guy. You know, it's either we'll agree on something or neither one of us really cares, and it's just kind of background noise. But there is a series that was done by Netflix on the Chicago Bulls of the 1990s called The Last Dance.
Oh yeah, great series.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And I grew up there and then, you know, I lived through all that firsthand, but I knew that Kelly didn't, and she doesn't really care about professional basketball because she just didn't. It's not her bag. So when that series came out, we never really watched it because I didn't want to make her sit through 10 hours of, this kind of stuff. But when she went out of town, I basically binged that whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
And it's the story of, Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. Michael Jordan and the 6-time champion Chicago Bulls and all this stuff that went down. And I've mentioned Jordan on this show before. I mean, he's I hate to use the term, but he is kind of one of my heroes as far as his ability to be the greatest of all time at what he does. There's not many people like that.
True.
And it was really interesting to learn that when he got drafted in 1984 to be on the Chicago Bulls, they asked him, "What's your goal?" And he said, "I want to win championships. And I want to make Chicago on the same level as the 76ers and, the Lakers and some of the great dynasty basketball clubs." And he did it.
Yep.
He saw his goal and he did it. And he was a very demanding person to play with on your team because he could score all the points and win the game by himself. But Phil Jackson, the coach, made it known to him that if you want to be a repeated champion, everybody's got to be at the top of their game. So this is what he did. He tried to inspire and demand the best performance out of everybody. Some people didn't like him for it, because he was tough. But my personal takeaway from that is that when we started this business, and if you heard the previous episode, you know that I was doing the TV show side of it, and then Kelly and her family and I were building the first couple cars, and then it grew and grew and grew to have more cars, more people, more departments, and just by default, myself and Kelly, we're the business owners, so we're ultimately responsible for everything that happens. But I never really signed up to be the manager of a team and, different departments in a business. I wasn't trained for it. It's not really what I wanted to do day in, day out, but I felt compelled because, again, this is our business. And I want to make sure everybody knows what the goal is and what we're trying to do. But I think what ended up happening is that I kind of got away from doing the stuff that I do that helped us start this business. And that is telling the stories of the cars as they're being built through pictures and text or through video or through television or through whatever it is. That's what I did. That's what I did from the beginning. It's what I wanted to do. And when I looked at that documentary and hearing Jordan saying, when his agent came to him and said, "We're going to get you a gym shoe, a shoe sponsorship, a shoe endorsement with Nike," and he's like, I don't care. I want to play basketball. I don't care about the shoes. And it turns out the shoes made him, a billionaire eventually. Yeah. But in my case, I didn't stay as focused as he did. I'm in no way comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but all he was trying to do is win the championships. And when we started this business, all I was doing was telling those stories of those cars. And I wasn't getting in the way of other departments and trying to, manage and coach and do whatever the heck I was doing. So the past couple of weeks, I said, you know what? To serve our team properly, right? We have a Top Gun painter. We've got awesome fabricators. We've got awesome interior people. We got awesome mechanics. Everybody, all sides of this team are doing awesome. I need to do awesome in my department to serve those guys, to make the team complete. I need to know, because as I look at the crew and the team, I go, I don't have to worry about Jeff painting a car. It's going to be dynamite. I know it. It's not a question. I need Jeff and the rest of the team to go, hey, I'm not worried about if Oeste's going to do a video because it's going to kick ass.
True.
So I kind of reframed myself and got out of my own head of being whatever this owner stigma is, just because Kelly and I own the company, but nobody really knows what an owner does. And I got back to, I'm focusing more on making and telling these stories. So I changed my title this past week, by the way.
Really?
As the owner, I can do that, by the way.
Yes, you can. What is the new title?
Well, now I'm creative director.
Ooh, I like that.
I do too, because that's why I'm here.
That's what you are. Yeah.
And last week we released the story on the restoration of the '67 Pontiac GTO. We did a few years ago. Oh man. And you're in it, yeah.
I am in it. How about that? That was awesome. That was a cool surprise.
It was cool. And it was a great story. It was an awesome car. It was a complete restoration, start to finish. And I looked at that story. It took me a while to put it together because I had always hoped we were going to get that car back to do some driving footage and some additional footage. But the owner has never had a need to send it back to us, so it's in his care. So I thought, you know what, I need to tell this story. So I kind of said, I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And that sounds kind of silly because, it's our show. We do what we want to do anyway.
Right.
But I really kind of threw a lot of the thoughts of things that are interesting for this demographic and considering short attention span theater and the different media form. And I just said, I'm just going to lay this out the way I want to do it, the way I would like to watch it.
Good.
And it was 23. It was funny. It came out to be 22 minutes and 30 seconds long, which coincidentally is the exact length of a half-an-hour TV show content.
That's awesome. Coincidence?
Yeah,
I think
how about
not.
that? Yeah, but it tells that whole story, and there's things in that video that I would never have done in the past, and one of them is the paint sequence when Jeff is spraying the car in the paint booth. We saddled him up with a body cam, essentially. And I remember Jeff telling me that when he goes into the paint booth, he puts his earbuds in and he puts his suit on and he closes the door and he just kind of zones out. He just achieves that state of flow. He's just in the moment and he's painting the car. And I tried to share that feeling as much as possible. So with his camera on his body, you see his hand, his arm outstretched in front of you spraying. And if you pay attention, you'll hear that in the beginning of that sequence, you can hear the air compressor, you can hear the air flowing through the gun, as he's spraying. But then I just kind of ramp that down and music comes up and it's just the motion and just kind of goes away. And it's one shot for like a minute and a half, like almost 2 minutes, unedited, which I've never done before in my life because as a video editor, you're always freaked out that somebody's going to get bored and you got to change it up, And this time I said, no, I want you and everybody watching this to feel what it's like to be able to zone out and just do this,
Yeah, I think that's great because I don't think a lot of people get the opportunity to see that part of a restoration. Sure, they see like an engine being built or maybe a body panel being, banged around and put to shape, but that Zen-like part of laying the paint down and to see that is not something that a lot of people get to experience. So I love that shot in that video.
Well, I'm glad, and you got it. That's what it was for, and it was kind of fun because normally when you see videos of or TV shows of people painting cars, they always do that same shot where it's like they take a piece of clear plastic and the guy paints over it. Like you're getting painted over.
Right. Right. Yes.
You always got to have that in there, and then usually there might be a time lapse or something, and here you go. But in this case, not only for just people tuning in to watch this, but maybe people who are having this done. I mean, I think they need to know what each team member goes through as they're doing this, as they're crafting this car. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
And it can be very stressful, or if you're really good, it's not stressful. And it's Well, I guess even if you're good, it's stressful, but it takes a lot. And if you recall that sequence, as soon as Jeff's done laying all the color out, there's like another 40 seconds of him just walking around the car and looking at it, just checking it out, making sure that, he got everything, And again, it's something I never would have put in before because I would have been afraid somebody's going to change the channel. But this time I'm like, you know what? No, this is part of the deal.
Yeah, and I tell you, I looked at the comments on the YouTube channel, and that has gotten an overwhelmingly positive response to that video. Hugely popular.
I don't want to jinx it, but there's not been one negative comment.
No, there has not been,
or one thumbs down at all.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, people really responded to that in a positive manner, so it's great. I think you're onto something, man. Well, the ace in the hole is that there's several great stories in that video. I mean, the car, I kind of created the gag that it looked like the Swamp Thing, right. that turned into the Beauty Queen because it was horrible looking when we started. It was pretty crusty. It was a very dramatic change, which is great, and it started looking like hell, and it came out awesome. So that's a great story. But then the other great story is where you came in presenting the car to the owner, and then the fact that it won, 997 out of 1,000 at the McCacken show. That's a great story on its own. So when you put all those together, it's like you really got to mess it up to not have a good feeling story, So yeah, true. The odds were in my favor, but everybody just did such a great job on it. And then when you guys pulled the cover off it, and the owner was excited, and his whole family was there, and the kids and the grandkids had the grandpa take me for a ride in the GTO shirts on. That was great. It was those great. Kids loved it. Yeah, so it was really cool. So we did something a little bit different as well, and that is before we published that video online, which goes to YouTube, it goes to an Amazon channel, it goes to a bunch of different stuff. We had a watch party at the shop, and most of the technicians are done with their day at 3:30 p.m. Right. So I gathered everybody in our wash bay, and we have a 65-inch TV that we use for presentations, and I wheeled that in there. And I will say I bolstered it with a little better audio. I brought in a subwoofer and some bigger speakers and stuff. Oh, cool. I wanted it to sound good as well. And we gave everybody popcorn, and we set out chairs and had everybody watch it. And it was really cool. It went over really well. Everybody really enjoyed it. And it was neat to see the reactions of some of the crew members that hadn't yet worked here when we did that car, to see that story, to go, wow, that was pretty cool. But then also to interact with the team that was building the car and seeing them on the screen. And it was just a neat thing. It's hard to explain, but I'm fortunate that we're able to do that kind of stuff. And my mission as creative director is to do far more of that, because that's what it's all about, Good, because I did see a comment or two from people who did say, I missed this long form video that you guys used to have forever ago, and we've been missing it, and we love seeing it back, and we hope you do more. So, and I'll echo those sentiments as well. I really like those long form videos, and you see them from start to finish. They're great. So. Well, I love them too. And one of the decisions was to make this a one episode story, as opposed to breaking it up into 3 or 10, different chapters, different standalone videos. And I did that because, today everybody loves that gratification, that payoff. They want to see the finish. But the flip side of that is, that was 18, 19 months for the video. It took us to shoot that, down into 22 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. So I can't do that with every car consistently because it's a lot. It is a lot. Yeah. But I have a few that are piled up and in the hopper, if you will, that
are also going to be fun stories like that. Might not have quite the same drama as the high score, but had neat stuff on their own. So
yeah, for sure. Well, not every car's going to McCacken that you put out. So
no, much as we'd like them all to, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get finished and they have to go home that minute because the owner's like, I need my car, damn it.
But they're just as nice as that 997 GTO.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm not saying they're not, but it's just
right.
People, a lot of times you see cars that are like some shop builds it and then they take, like right now as we're talking, the Grand National Roadster Show is finishing up in California. Right. And you'll see some builder that built a car and then it's on display there. And then it's at Detroit Autorama. And then it's at Good Guys Columbus. And it's at all these other shows. Mm-hmm. And it's because that builder made an agreement with the customer that said, when I finish your car, you don't get it for another year because I'm going to tour it around. And I can't do that to somebody. I mean,
that's hard. That's got to be agonizing for an owner.
For sure. They want the car, So.
Yeah.
When it times out that we can present it at an event, then we'll take advantage of that. So that's what happened with the McCacken deal. It was cool.
Mm-hmm. That was cool, and thank you for letting me be part of that and doing that unveiling. That was fantastic. I know that was the year that you and Kelly were in Saudi Arabia for that Saudi auto salon.
Yeah, we weren't even there. And you guys handled that whole reveal wonderfully. Right. You did a great job with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was by the time that happened, I had done some of those other reveals, and I got all the nerves out of me. So that one made me feel real comfortable. Plus, it's a '67 GTO. I would have fought for that anyway. So
you've seen one of those before, huh?
Yeah, once or twice.
Yeah, that was a cool car.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of cool cars, you've been doing some work on the Maxi van.
Oh boy!
Yeah, we need an update.
Yeah, that thing is so funny. So I don't know the last time we gave an update on the van, but recently I've done a bunch of little things. I think we talked about getting the wheels restored.
Yeah, you didn't have the wheels in your possession the last time we talked about it.
Oh, okay. So I got the wheels in my possession, and then I had them stripped and machined, and they came out like brand freaking new.
Dude, they looked amazing.
Yeah, they do. They look really good. And then we ceramicked them and cleared them that way so that they stay. Basically, so I don't have to polish them because I don't really want to polish fine spoked aluminum turbine wheels.
300 spokes.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No.
So mounted and balanced tires. I got all the wheels and tires to balance out at zero at 100% perfect balance, which was great. Mm-hmm. Adjusted the carburetor, fixed the digital clock, which is it's this goofy little green LED. Looks like it's off of a microwave oven from 1979, but it's the same clock. Man. Oh yeah, it's the same one that used to be in the van that I had as a kid.
Nice.
It had to work, so I made that work and systematically started just kind of cleaning stuff. So I did a big carpet shampoo, which was a job.
I bet.
Yeah, but it made a big difference. And then this past weekend, I scrubbed all the upholstery and all the seats, and then I took all the curtains out and ran them through the laundry and fabric softener and put all those back up. And the curtains are like this brown velour,
Yeah. Oh, God, yes. I love it.
And when I took them down out of the van, they would stand up on their own.
Yeah.
It wasn't that they were dirty. They were just stiff. They were just,
sure. 40-something years old, for Pete's
right.
sake.
Yeah, exactly. So none of this stuff was like really dirty. It was just, stiff and old and crusty. Yeah. So after doing the carpet shampoo and now all the upholstery's nice and soft and the carpet feels great and everything smells nice. And so I got all that straightened out and changed a bunch of light bulbs and fixed a bunch of that nonsense. And it's getting there. It's almost road trip ready.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
What's what's remaining to be road trip ready that you want to do?
It does need an alignment.
Okay.
I got to do that. It's got a catalytic converter, and it's never been touched, and I think it's kind of restrictive, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So I want to put some exhaust on it, just to let it breathe a little better. Mm-hmm. I would like to. I got to finish installing the backup camera because this thing is like. It's like
you got
trying
a backup
to
camera. No kidding.
Yeah, Kelly got me a backup camera for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
It is cool. It mounts in the license plate frame.
Sure.
And then there's a little screen, that goes on the dash. And I didn't really want to have a modern looking screen on the dash because it kind of goes against the overall aesthetic of an otherwise 100% correct, 1979 van. But curtains on windows at the back of a giant maxi van, you can't see a damn thing.
No, I bet you can't.
So it's interesting because I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a street rod product out there that eliminates wires in a door. It puts contactors on the pillar and contactors on the door. The little spring-loaded contacts. When you close the door, they all make contact, and then your lights work and your speaker, or whatever it is. And you open the door, and there's no wires. It's nice and clean.
Oh, that is cool.
Dodge did that from the factory. So get
out of here. Yeah,
the license plate light in my van has a contactor, a little spring-loaded thing, and no wire, which is interesting. And the backup camera, the way it's supposed to work is when you put the van in reverse, you're supposed to tap into that reverse light circuit.
Right.
And then it turns the camera on, and then that triggers the monitor to turn on. However, in this case, my van has an air conditioning system that has ducts. There's a rear-mounted air unit, and the ducts go up the corners of the back of the van, and then they merge and they go up the center. And it's this big fiberglass plenum thing that is screwed and glued to the side of the van. So I cannot access the back of the taillight housing to get to the reverse wiring at all.
Ah, shoot.
There is a feed out of the transmission, from the switch. When you put it in reverse, there's a thing that completes it. So I have to get under it and tap into that to make that work. Yeah. So, but I'll get there,
Yeah.
And then I fix the cigarette lighter, and I have this little MP3 Bluetooth transmitter thing, so I can connect my phone and play music through the radio.
Oh, right.
And the radio is a made in Japan 1979 AM FM stereo that has no presets. It's just a dial.
Really?
It's got an 8-track in it,
Oh, yeah. Right on.
And the thing sounds unbelievable.
Really?
It is. I can't even understand it. When you change stations or turn the volume up or down or move the balance or the fader, there is not a crackle. There is not a...
Really?
There is nothing. It is perfect. It's like brand new.
Ooh.
And, as you know, I'm into the, mid-late 70s audio gear.
Yeah.
The hi-fi stuff, your Marantz and Pioneer and all those big names from those days, Sansui and whatnot. And they were all really, really nice. And it was right before everything became more electronic and integrated circuits. And not to say that these are, like tube amps and things like that, but it's just kind of the last cusp of things getting eventually really cheap. And this radio subscribes to that same kind of concept. So it's really well built, and it doesn't do anything except tune in AM and FM, but it sounds killer.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Pick up like an old Boston 8-track or something and throw it in there. It'd be great.
Well, yeah, I haven't tried the 8-track yet, but the cool thing is by using that FM transmitter, I'm streaming my Spotify stuff through it, and it sounds killer. The only thing I'm going to do is add a powered subwoofer to the back of the van, and audio's done. And
Dang.
it's kind of fun to turn the knob and watch the stereo light come on.
Sure.
There's no presets, it's just find the station. So
that is weird, man. No presets.
No, yeah. Presets were a new thing back then. I mean, they weren't new, but
No.
I think with an AM/FM 8-track, combination, they were running out of space on the
Maybe
on the faceplate at that point. So
yeah, that's true.
Because 8-tracks were big.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there were.
And there's a switch for a CB on this same unit, and there's a hook to hang a microphone on the dash. But what I've learned is that when you hit the CB switch, you can interface it with a CB radio to have the CB audio come through the stereo. So it's like an auxiliary input.
I see. Sure.
Yeah. So I when I first saw this thing, I'm like, oh my God, this is an AM/FM stereo 8-track CB combination unit.
Oh my gosh. It's one of one.
It's everything. Yeah. It does everything but spit wooden nickels. But, but it doesn't do quite all that. There were a few out there that did. I think Chrysler made one and there was a couple others out there, but, so today I took it for a drive, and I created a playlist on the Spotify that I tried to remember, like the last time I drove the van we used to have. What was on that cassette?
Oh, yeah.
Point, it was a Craig cassette player that we had in the dash, back then. But so I just made a Spotify playlist of the van tunes, and took it for a cruise and completely lost what frickin' decade that I was in.
Oh, that's awesome. Now that is fantastic.
Yeah.
You really lost yourself. That's great. I love it.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. I was like, wow, that was something.
Oh man. Getting this van was great for you.
It's turned out to be pretty fun. And what's even crazier, though, is that the reaction from everybody else is just off the charts.
Oh, that van is killer.
I mean, this morning, I went to my local car wash, and I wanted to vacuum the carpet again. And I figure I'll clog up their vacuum instead of mine, So
Right on.
I go and I got all the doors open, and I'm vacuuming this thing out from top to bottom, and this guy pulls up, and he's probably 20 years old, and he gets out of his Toyota, and he walks up, and he goes, "What the hell is this?" And I said, "Well, this is a custom van." And he's like, I really have never seen anything like this in my life. And he's peeking inside. He's like, "Oh my God, there's chairs and carpeting and all this stuff." And he's like, "Is that custom painted?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "That's like some Bob Ross right there, man."
That's awesome.
It is. I'm looking.
I love this kid.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah, really.
So it's like everywhere I go and I've only driven this thing 260 miles at this point, but every single place, every stoplight, literally, people are waving and smiling and pointing, and it's like, oh my God, of all the cars that, we get to drive in the shop and my own junk, this thing.
This is what's really making people go crazy.
Yeah, this is doing it.
That's great, man. I was watching, I caught just a couple minutes of somebody's live stream from the Grand National Roadster Show, and they were going down the line of custom vans.
Yeah, they had a bunch of them there this year.
Yeah, I said, boy, that maxi van needs to be there.
Woo! Well, the organizers invited me to bring it out there, but I just couldn't get it together to drive all the way across country.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
But that was pretty well received. So if they do it again, and I'm lucky enough to get invited, I will. I'll come back out for that because it's something.
You got to dip your toe in the water and bring it out to the McCacken show first and see how people respond, and then take it out to Pomona.
McCacken, wow, yeah. And so the funny thing is, I mean, it doesn't really fit there, just because, that's this great muscle car show.
Yeah, but they had one there this last year.
But the one they had was Mr. Norm's.
Well, okay. Well, this one will be Mr. Kevin's.
Yeah, like that's a comparison.
BFD, man.
It would just be fun to drive it up there,
It would be.
And that's a funny thing is, again, I got this thing purely for my own selfish, reasons to acknowledge my history. And it just turns out that everybody thinks it's cool and everybody's planning stuff to do with it. So, all right,
Yeah. Well, it is cool. And if it were a pile, if it were a van that, not necessarily a V in a van, if it was, just a crappy car, you probably wouldn't even want it. But that van is just, it's bitching. It's just really cool by itself, and regardless of the story that's attached to it, it's a cool van.
Yeah, it's amazing how you don't see those things at all anymore on the road.
Yeah, the only two I've ever seen were the two that you've had.
Well, that particular style, but today, even the other, less ornate, if you will, conversion vans, they're all gone. They're just you just don't see them.
No, you don't.
So,
vans 1,500 vans, half-ton vans today they're ugly, number one. And who wants to make a custom out of that?
Right. And it just it goes against the direction of, popular culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, true.
But, it's a milepost of the hobby along the way. And this is just so period correct. Nothing has changed on this. So just keeping it alive, and it is fun to drive.
It's cool. I can't wait to see it in person.
It's coming soon, man.
Yeah, man. Woo woo.
Couple of months, we'll make the trek up there.
Good. Very good. Just got to find a place you can park it inside.
Well, the good thing is it is GPS'd.
Okay, that's
so good. If somebody likes it more than me, we'll be able to find them.
Good. Even better.
I don't know. I think it scares most people away when you try and see out of the damn thing. But so I know that everybody is very, very curious to know what a Mighty Mike is.
Most of all me. Oh, okay. So, all right, getting back to the trivia, I asked you what performance parts were on the 409 that the Beach Boys sang about.
Right.
And you said 3 deuces and a 4-speed. Well, if we were talking GTOs, you'd be all over it. But the 409 was a 4-speed dual quad posit traction 409.
For Christ's sake.
Ba-boom, sir.
It's all the same stuff.
Yeah, right?
Did you ever
3
hear...
deuces, dual quad? Yeah, it's close enough, right?
Have you ever heard of the band called the Ruddles?
The Ruggles?
The Ruttles.
Ruddles. No, I have not.
So the Ruddles were an actual band in the 60s that was fronted by Eric Idle, who eventually went on to do Monty Python.
Yeah.
And they parodied Beatles songs.
I see.
And they would write a song that was not like a Weird Al parody, where it's My Baloney instead of My Sharona. Mm-hmm. But it was a song that you would hear it and go, I don't know if this is the Beatles or not. It's like the same. Wow. It's so close, but then, they did one instead of All You Need Is Love, it's All You Need Is Cash.
That's awesome.
So, that's kind of what I was thinking for your question there. It's like the little GTO and the 409 and Little Deuce, they're all the same, but just different a little bit.
Just a little different, sir. Just a bit outside.
That's right. So my mind kind of put them all together. All right. Well, that was a great question. That was cool.
Thank you.
All right. You ready for this?
Yeah, Let's have it.
What was the Mighty Mike? And you said it was it smacks of the Chrysler Corporation.
Yeah.
And your guess
Smacks
was
of ignorance is what it does.
it appeared on half-ton Dodge vans with side pipes, like a factory custom with shag carpet and all the fun stuff. And I think what you were thinking of was the Dodge Street Van, because you could buy
I don't know
that.
what I was thinking about, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, well, Dodge recognized that, people were customizing these on their own, and they said they wanted part of that action. So they created the Dodge Street Van, which at the dealer from the factory, not from some third-party conversion, had the stuff you were talking about. But that's not what the Mighty Mike was.
no, of course not.
The Mighty Mike was a trim package on the Chevy Love pickup.
Really?
Yes. And the
Chevy Love.
Oh, yeah. So the Chevy Love was one of the rebadged import trucks, right? So I think it was made by, I think it was an Isuzu.
I think you're right, yeah.
In Japan, and in the U.S., Chevy licensed it because they needed to try and compete with Isuzu and other
Sure.
Datsun and Toyota. And all of them did it at the time because we didn't, the Chevrolet didn't have a small pickup truck.
Yeah.
So there was a package, a trim level on the interior, a luxury line called the Mikado, which is Japanese for emperor.
Oh, man.
Look at the Chevy Love Mikado. And then the Mighty Mike version added fun to the exterior with some stripes, Mighty Mike lettering, and a tailgate stripe and whatnot. So the full boat Chevy Love was a Mikado Mighty Mike version.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, think about that. What a crazy conglomerate of styles all put together, And I guess the Mike was short for Mikado.
Ah, okay. Well, heck.
I don't know that in Japan they call their emperors Mike. I just don't see it.
Maybe they should.
Maybe they should. Maybe you're an emperor.
Maybe I am.
See?
All right.
Just trying to give you something there,
Appreciate that. Where are my new clothes?
Right. They're in the back of your Love pickup truck.
Back of my Chevy Love.
So the side trivia question on top of that is what does Love stand for? Because Chevy Love was LUV.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that was?
No, I don't. Something
That
vehicle, maybe?
It was the light utility vehicle.
Light utility vehicle. I'll be
LUV.
darned.
Yeah, before the SUV, there was
SUV,
the LUV.
yeah, it was the LUV.
And it was the
I'll
Love,
be darned.
man. Love Machine.
That's awesome.
And there was one of those on display at the Grand National Roadster Show this weekend.
Was there?
A yellow custom Chevy Love, yeah. And I had prepared this trivia question like a month ago, so it wasn't this picture that I saw today, but it just kind of fit. So. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've had this 409 question kicking around in my head for a few weeks as well.
Was it Yardley or Trevor?
No, it was all. This one was all me.
Ooh, very nice.
This one was all me. Yeah, I have some stuff from Yardley and from Trevor that I'm saving, but for when I'm mad at you or something, I'll at least have on you.
Well, I'm at the bottom of my well at this point, so I'll have to start coming up with some new ones. But
yeah, I mean, some of these ones that Yardley and Trevor feed me are pretty. I mean, they're great questions, but man, they're really out there. They're interesting.
Well, so are those guys,
Yeah, true. Good, true. In a good way.
For sure. And as I'm, thinking of all this, those questions might kind of thinking about releasing all this stuff, like the V8 Radio Trivia book.
Ooh.
I mean, because I don't have all of them recorded in this particular document that I reference, but I've got 49 pages.
Wow. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. And I look back at some of these questions as I'm scrolling through right now, and it's like I barely remember even asking them. Like I'd get it wrong.
Right. I keep a living document of V8 radio notes, and it includes the the overselling adjective as well as the trivia questions, and I got about 62 pages of that right now.
See?
Yeah. So between the two of us, we'll get something going.
It'll be a New York Times #1 bestseller.
You know it. We'll be able to retire.
Finally, it comes together.
Right.
It'd be huge in Japan.
Man. Yeah, huge. I am the emperor.
That's right. Oh, man. Well, this was fun. This was a nice catch-up recap. On a mission to get these out a little more frequently. I know we've been a little bit few and far between.
Yeah, well, you get busy, so we get busy sometimes. You know, this is not like our job, but it's our fun, it's our hobby, and we definitely do want to get these out a little more often. But,
so
when time permits.
One thing that I did do is at the PRI show, I recorded an interview with Dave Hakim, he was like the Mopar performance guy forever. And we recorded it and had a good conversation, but it's him and I, and you're not in it. So
nope.
I want to figure out a way, maybe we play that and just pause it and do commentary along the way kind of thing. And then you can be part of that one too.
Sure.
That's some good stuff. Dave, the guy knows everything about Chrysler. Oh my God.
Nice. Yeah, let's figure that out. That'll probably be good information on the show.
All right. Maybe that'll be next time. I don't know.
Maybe. You never know. You never know what you're going to get when you click play on V8 Radio.
It's like a Chevy 1961 Super Sport Impala 409 full of chocolates. You just never know what you're going to get.
Never know what you're going to get. Oh, man.
And on that note, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Do you have any other nuggets of wisdom to share with our listener?
No other nuggets for the listener.
Well, this was fun. If you did enjoy this, hit that subscribe button, and whenever our next show comes out, you'll be the first to know, right at the top of the list, which would be pretty special for everybody. And also be sure, if you want to share some thoughts, you go to it used to be iTunes, now it's Apple Podcasts. Head over there. You can leave a review, leave some stars, leave some notes. We're always happy to read those as long as they're good.
Sad to read them when they're not good.
Well, if you got nothing nice to say nothing at all, you know. But that's about all I got. So, awesome. Well, for Mr. Mike Q-Ball Clarke, I'm your host, Kevin Oeste, reminding you to keep the shiny side up, and we will chat with you next time on VA Radio.